Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Mm. Well, according to YouTube, I'm live. And as always, I want to apologize, as I so often do, for going live without actually giving any warning whatsoever. But then again, this is the Animation Truman Show, which means I'm just doing whatever I happen to be wanting to do this day in terms of moving my cartoon forward. And so you just kind of pop in where you pop in, you know? Gosh, I wish I had taken a picture of the painting I did this morning. Not a digital painting either, actually an oil painting. And I'd show you guys that because it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Painting of a mako shark. Pretty exciting. It's one of the better paintings I think I've done because I'm really enthused about the composition. You know, it's like easy on the eyes kind of thing. Reminds me of an old school pulp magazine cover. Underwater Adventures or something. Anyway, yesterday I was working on this shot and did some fixie poo in Krita. And then I jumped over to Tahoma and set up the plastic tool. So this is, I'm liking the way this turned out. So to be clear, I was taking a shot from some time ago. And by the way, I should also add the caveat that hey, Tiny Salad, I'm only probably going to be live streaming for like a half hour or so. Because as soon as Valerie grabs her lunch, it's going to be time to take a break and go watch an exciting episode of Orphan Black together, which we really like. So, don't really think I'm going to be live streaming that long. But I figured, okay, for at least a half hour, I'm going to just kind of get a few things done. I might as well turn on the old live stream. So this, I think this is the shot that I was tweaking. Yeah, okay, so in the old Krita version of the shot, the king kind of scowls a bit, and then he has this little shift in weight. And I'm pretty sure what he says is, can it be done? Okay, so he is speaking to Golek about, Golek has floated the idea of marrying off the prince, basically as a political move, and Vespigi, being the kind of crummy father that he is kind of open to the idea. So, okay, Vespigi, that's what you're going to do. So anyway, what I did was I came back over here after I had fixed the visuals on Vespigi to make his head slightly wider. I went ahead and added the plastic tool over here so that... hello, plastic tool. Okay, so it's a pretty complex rig, as you can see. If you want to know how I set up the rig, look at yesterday's video. It's not that long. And if you scan through it, you can probably find it. But I should say, I'm kind of surprised it worked out as well as it did. So if you kind of look at this as a template, you kind of sort of have these spider legs of nodes when you set up the plastic tool. And so really what you can see here is kind of a primer on how to use the plastic tool to do things that are generally kind of difficult to do, which in this case was to make him scowl. So I wanted to have control of his face. Let's really zoom in there and see what he's doing. See that? I mean, it really came out nice. And the secret is to put nodes kind of in the basic ballpark of where you want them, so that like this node and this node. And by the way, to be clear, I always refer to these as nodes, and I refer to the sticks as bones. Okay, so to me, this is not a bone. This is a node. This is a bone. And so, squeezy, squeezy. I mean, it came out really nice. But the thing is, it didn't work at first. And the reason it didn't work is because this bone here, or it might have been this one, but one of these bones, when you'd move them, it would cause a deformation over here of the crown. So that's what these nodes and bones are for, is you basically think about the kinematic structure of the skeleton, and then you judiciously put bones in places that you don't want to deform so that you have more control over the things that you do want to deform. Okie dokie. So that's what I did. And it worked out really well. If I move this one here, which I'm not, well, I guess I could demonstrate it. You can see that it gives you a little bit of a nice deformation of the shoulders. Not too much. If you go too far, it starts to look stupid, obviously. But as I've said so many times before, for what I call secondary animation, Plastic Tool is pretty amazing. And in this case, it's really giving me the ability to take a single drawing, and as you can see, you know, this isn't a high action shot, obviously. But let's face it, in the real world, most of your shots aren't. You know, most of your shots, the action's pretty subtle, and if you can get the job done with a little bit of digital tools, so you don't have to redraw, which really isn't the problem. The problem is repaint, and re-ink. That's the problem, because that's where all the time goes, you know, ink and paint and fill tool and stuff. So anyway, so this is a really good example of that workflow that I've talked about so many times, where you essentially do your drawing in your, you know, your favorite paint program that maybe is more capable than Tahoma, and then you just cut and paste it into Tahoma. Not always the right solution, and frankly, I usually don't do it this way. Usually I do the whole thing in Tahoma, but in this case, because I was drawing on a scene that was done months ago, that I've known for months needed to be improved, you know, that's how I did it. So what is still involved here? Well, we need to have some lip sync. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a vector level. Why am I doing a vector level? Well, mainly because you can draw filled shapes. So that's what I'm going to do. So he's and plus, okay, so here at the beginning, essentially, there really is no lip sync. In a lot of circumstances, you would want to map the mouth through the plastic tool so the head and the mouth stay together. In this case, I think not, because basically he's going to get to his final resting position, and then there's going to be a little bit of lip sync. And, well, actually, let me rethink that. I will say this. The basic workflow is that if you are going to do lip sync on something like this that's already been animated, the best course of action is to actually unhook the plastic tool, do your lip sync, and then map everything back through the plastic tool. So it looks like Tiny Salad, you're the only one watching right now. So I don't know if that is something that's interesting to you or that I need to expound on. But why don't you, since you have full command of the chat right now, you are literally in charge. Assuming you're still watching, which you may not be. You know, if you want me to explain that further, just let me know. So the basic gist would be, in a nutshell, is you open your schematic and you take your layer that's going through the mesh of the plastic tool and you just unhook it. You just basically bypass it. And when you do that, all the deformation from the plastic tool is undone, disappears, you don't see it. And then you can do all your animation, like add the mouth, lip sync, blinking eyes, things like that. And then once you're done, you can take that layer with your mouth in it or whatever and just put it into the plastic tool. And just like magic, everything moves together. So that's the gist of it anyway. So the king says, yeah. I think I am going to I'm not going to put this through the plastic tool, because really all I need to do is wait until he's moved. Can it be done? Okay, so yeah, and he'll say on the word done, he will have that little shift in his body language. So what I'm going to do is just hit the B key, and now what I'm doing is just drawing a black shape, like so. So that's a filled shape. Which with a vector level, if you have auto close, auto group, and auto fill all clicked, which by the way, if you click auto fill, it automatically clicks the other two as well anyway. But okay, so now I'm going to actually adjust that a little bit. Boop. Okay, so there you go. Instant mouth. Okay, and then, you know, sometimes I'll make a mouth like semi-transparent. Sometimes I will just adjust the color. In this case, yeah, probably semi-transparent will fill the bill. We magic. We magic. I'm not sure what you mean by we magic. Tiny sound. Let's see. I'm going to hit the S key. Can I just grab this node here? Actually, I think I need to hit the C key. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, it's another nice thing about vector shapes is you can tighten them up, clean them up. I'm actually just going to delete these nodes. Now, I'm obviously doing way more work than I probably really need to, but hey, it's all good. Okay, there. More symmetrical. So, he says, alright, and now what I'm going to do is, I got to think here. Man, it's been a while since I've been in Tahoma. D key? Yeah. Hit the D key to make a duplicate. And then I'm actually going to hit the S key so I can just expand this a little bit. And as usual, we're doing sort of anime style. Anime style lip sync, meaning closed mouth, open mouth, closed mouth, open mouth, closed mouth, open mouth. And here, there he's going to shift his weight. So I'm going to hit the delete key and hit the D key and then flatten this actually out. So the third shape is the almost closed mouth. Open mouth, more open mouth, more open mouth, slightly closed mouth. That tends to do the trick. Oh, there goes Valerie in the background. Of course, I don't have the webcam on, so you guys can't see that. Okay, Tiny Salad has a couple... Hey, the last airbender. Hey, man. Won't the mouth look a bit funky unless there's beard deformation? You said it was like magic. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Well, you have to judge for yourself. You know, I have never really... I mean... Okay, so the basic idea with Vespigi is that, and by the way, I would adjust the density of that, by the way. Yeah, that's a little more like it. But no, I mean, I would say that the way I've always done Vespigi is his beard is so thick that basically you just kind of see his mouth sort of moving underneath it, sort of popping out from underneath it. So I think we'll consider this more of a misdemeanor than a felony in this case. So, because, you know, we are going for that anime style kind of thing, right? So he says, can it be done? Pretty sure that's what he says. Can it be done? Yeah, that works. And I think I'll stretch this one out one more frame. And by the way, I'm going to turn this off. Can it be done? Okay, so now a question arises. He scowls, and I'm actually wondering if maybe opening the eyes back up here wouldn't be the worst idea I've ever had. So I'm going to hit the X key to re-invoke the plastic tool, and I'm going to turn keep distance off. I think I am going to do that. We'll see if it looks good, but there we go. Now let's turn that off, and let's just kind of let her play and see what we've got. Can it be done? Yeah, not bad, not bad. Economical, baby. That is some economical. Hey, Ashnan. That's pretty economical animation right there. Not going to win any Emmys for it, that's for sure, but hey, it looks good. So I'm going to hit save all, and now I need to go ahead and and rip off the background from this shot, and then this Tahoma project will wind up becoming the basis for I don't know how many. It was probably about 5 shots. Looking over here, we're doing this one right now. This is the one we did the other day. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 2, 3, So yeah, actually 6 shots. 6 shots of Vespigi that are going to have to be redone. So maybe after we finish this one, what I'll do is go look at these other ones and look at, you know, how much actual uh, animation work do we really need to do? Because it could be, I don't know if Vespigi's really moving very much in those other shots or if he's just talking. I don't know. Not sure. Now, it's kind of the kind of a good moment to consider whether the throne is all it's cracked up to be, because that outline's pretty rough. Okay. All right. Fine. I'm gonna just get myself down to -2 here on the. Let me. I don't actually like that brush. I think I'm going to go back to my big pencil, smack this back to 0. So obviously I could do this in Krita, but I mean, as long as I'm here, for the most part, put it this way, if all you had was Tahoma, you know, you're going to be okay. Because most of what you can do in Krita, you can actually do in Tahoma. The trick is you would want to, for a more complex painting, what you'd want to do is put it in a sub-scene so that you could have multiple layers and even use the schematic to do blending modes and stuff like that, and then just have that appear in your main scene as a single level. So if you guys are, I think you guys have all been around for a while, so I think you guys probably know how sub-scenes work. So I will just say, if there are any questions, pop them up in the chat, and if I can answer them, I will do so. So, okie dokie. So yeah, this kind of came up yesterday where people were talking about, well, of course, like always happens on my channel, is people are talking about which software is better and blah, blah, blah. And I've been kind of ranting, not ranting, but raving really about Krita 5, because Krita 5 has, I would actually say this, I'll make a bold statement, is that really Tahoma, Krita 5, and Blender, all three of them, if you really had to, if you really, really, really had to, whatever it is you think you want to do with animation, you could do it with any one of those three, and without the others. Like, just take your pick. You know, the only criticism I would have for Blender 3 at this point is that I tried to run the portable version of it because I really didn't want to run the installer. I'll tell you why. I was doing a bunch of corrections on a movie. Like, I got a movie of mine that I wrote and directed and stuff that is being actually put out for distribution right now. So I had a bunch of corrections I needed to make, just little things, little audio fixes and things like that. And so when you're in the middle of doing a bunch of work that you're going to be delivering to the distributor, that's not the time to install software that's untested on your system. Because that's when the dependencies, the new DLLs that maybe are, that Windows 10 loves, but maybe Windows 8 doesn't love. Things like that happen. Stupid stuff happens when you make system changes and you're in the middle of something important for like a client or whatever. Hey, Mikhail. So I opted not to run the installer for Blender 3. What I did do was run the portable version, and it wouldn't run. And the reason it wouldn't run is the quintessential reason, which is that there's a missing DLL. And I'm not going to run the installer. Now, I actually could do it now because I got everything delivered to the distributor, and they told me everything looked great, everything worked out well, blah, blah, blah. So technically, I could install Blender 3. How confident am I that that would solve the problem I had and Blender would run perfectly? Yeah, 50-50. I suspect it wouldn't. I mean, I ran some of the... I was able to run the earlier, beta or alpha releases, and I'm talking slowly like an idiot right now because you guys know I can't do two things at the same time. All right, so let's just take a look at this. Are we done? I like it. Okay, so now what we want to do is go to our output settings, and these settings will wind up being baked into the project. Okay, so Soda Pop mentioned the OCA thing. Well, Wolf and the Bowl made Krita, right, a Krita to Opentoonz Tahoma timeline data exporter. That definitely would be cool to try, for sure. Um, Especially for people that are doing Opentoonz and not Tahoma, because obviously with Tahoma, you can just do the cut and paste thing. And it's not kind of a either or, it's a both and. There's a time to do cut and paste, and there's certainly a time when it would be really cool if you could just have interchange of the whole data timeline. Download it free from the Opentoonz Discord. Okay, man. Not going to promise I'm going to get around to doing that, like, today, tomorrow, whatever, but I appreciate you calling that out for people, because there's probably a lot of people would want to try that, actually. So this shot that I'm working with right now is 187, and we need to look at the properties of the output. So it's a ping sequence with a dot. Okay, cool. Let's come back here, and this is going to be taken to folder number 187, which should have a subfolder called a render. So let's just scroll down until we find 187. 187, 187, 187. Boom. Render. Okay, there it is. There's the old version of it. Okay, so I choose that. We're going to do pings, not TIFFs. And we've got 187 dot. Do I need to put that dot in there? I think I do. It's pretty sad that I don't remember, but let's find out. Now it looks like it's correct. Pre-computing. Well, it's probably pre-computing because there's so much of the stuff in this scene that is cut and pasted raster images, which means they're kind of big. So download it free from the Opentoonz Discord. While I'm waiting for this thing to render, let me jump over. I know you can't put any exact links in the chat. Don't care what's new. What's hey Soda Pop, what's the okay, so I'm sorry. I'm actually on the Darren T Discord, not the Opentoonz Discord. Yeah, I think I'm gonna skip this for the moment. I will be telling you the truth that I am absolutely inept when it comes to Discord. Like, I can hop on and kind of chat a little, but basically, I know it sounds pathetic, but I just have not spent the time to. It seems to me that Discord is kind of an amazing platform. Yeah, and you post it in the comments on this video if you can. I don't think you can post it in the chat because I don't think it'll let you post an actual URL. It would have been useful if Tahoma had a search bar like Blender. Can you expound on that, Sifter? What are you talking about? Search for what? I mean, I can see it. In Blender, when you've got 10 million elements in your scene, of course, being able to do a search is useful. But what would have to be going on in Tahoma to require a search function? I don't get that. I mean, I have a total of 4 layers for crying out loud. So what's the application you're thinking of? You're thinking of scenes that have like 10 million elements in them? Clarify. Did it post? I'm sorry, Soda Pop. I may be stupid here, but if you tried to post it in this chat, then the answer would be no. where are you posting it? And obviously this video doesn't, well, actually, let me look here. I'm going to look. Maybe while I'm streaming, maybe there are comments. I don't know. I've never actually checked that. Never thought about it. Okay, so I'm actually going to this live stream, which is probably going to cause a feedback loop on the audio. So hang on a second. Check it. Okay, so let me I've never actually checked that. Mute the audio here. And let me look down here. Okay, so I don't see any comments. I don't know if you're able to post a standard comment when somebody's still streaming. And you can't post it in the chat because you can't put a URL. General on Darren Discord. Okay, cool. Yeah, that will work. Good, thank you. I will jump over there right now because I would like to try this plugin. So there's the Darren T Discord, and I'm looking at the, actually, just to make it so it's not completely stupid here, I'll switch screens so you can see what I'm looking at. So transition over here, and so here's the Darren T Animations Discord. And general, where's general? Announcement, Discord tips, welcome, rules, poll video. See what I mean? You see what I mean by being inept? I just don't do Discord, like hardly ever, man. Anyway, I'll be looking for it. Let's leave it at that for the moment. I will look for it. Okay, hey Dominic. Okay, so you posted it. Okay, so Sifter. In the file browser pop-up, when you want to import or save something, you could just type by name and it filters out the file. Ah, yes. Okay, gotcha. Yes. I agree with you. If you go to the browser, I do believe, let me see here. It would certainly be useful. I mean, you can go 187. See what that does, and that actually went to 187 because 187 existed. So that's not exactly the same as a search function, but yeah, I get your point though. That would be kind of useful. So anyway, that rendered. So I'm gonna go back over here to my video edit and see if it. Okay, now we have a problem. Following could not be found in the following location. Oh, it's because of 0. That's not good. Okay, I'm going to cancel this. Okay, so what I think just happened is this image sequence starts with frame number 0, and what rendered probably started with frame number 1. So now Vegas is because Vegas is now confused because there is no frame 0 in the image sequence. Of course, I could just reinsert the image sequence. That would probably be the easier solution to the problem here. So I'm going to go delete that. And let's just go Tools, Clean Project Media. Keeps everything clean. Going to go to Project Media, and we're going to open up Animate, SL, Scenes 187. Where are you, 187? Boom, render, grab that. Yeah, see, it starts with number 1. And that's 36. And we are going to set this to a frame rate of 8. And now, unfortunately, silly as it seems, I have to actually find the darn thing. There it is. You stick that in there. Let's see what we have here. That's pretty good. Okay, so we need to take this, move it downstream, hit Control-Shift-F, and then this needs to not have resampling. Okay, we are back on track, baby. Can only try, Your Highness. Okay, Cool. We are moving forward. I will say this probably holds longer than it needs to. In fact, actually, let's do it a different way. Let's just hit Control and stretch it. And that way, what I'm really doing is I'm actually making it play just a little bit faster than 8 frames a second. Done. Yeah. Boom. Okay, so now we got a little hiccup there. And now on to the next shot. Okay, so this is 182. What does he say? No idea. I'm going to have to pull up the script. Okay, so let me jump over here to Tahoma, and you can also do CSV to blend a timeline with data as well. I'm doing as we chat. Cool, man. By the way, you can scroll through channels in Discord to see more. Thank you, Sifter. I'm sure that's true. I really, I really need to just like take 20 minutes and kind of like learn what you can really do in Discord, because I just haven't done it. Okay, so we got this shot done, and the next shot, we are in fact working backwards, is going to be 182. So why don't we do this? Let's start with, because I'm going to have to pull up the script to see what his lip sync is. I have no idea what he's supposed to be saying there. Wait. He's saying, what do you mean? Got it. Okay. What do you mean? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. We're going to go File. And we're going to save this scene as 182. 182. Okay. Shouldn't take long. Okay. Now we're going to go to the output settings immediately and go to 182. It's a little hard to see. 182 render. Okay. There we go. I'm choosing that. Okay. 182. Everything looks good. It changed the name of the files to 182 as well. So now we'll save all. So now this is saved as 182. Okay. So now it's saving, so it's taking a second for it to decide to pay attention or wake up for me. Okay, on what episode am I? Okay, so what I'm doing, Dominic, is I'm going through episode 1. This would be episode 1. And, you know, basically episodes 1 and 2 are pretty much animated. And I've been working on the soundtrack. Okay, working on the soundtrack, getting the voices in there, blah, blah, blah. And so, but what I'm doing today is I'm just, you know, I'm just, on an ongoing basis, I'm going through the episodes and saying, hey, can this shot be improved? Can that shot be improved? That's what I'm doing. So this shot needed to be improved because Vespigi, this guy, he's just a little off character. In the one pose that I had drawn, he was just too skinny. Like, just didn't look quite right. So I fixed it. Okay, so I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch this to be in preview mode, like that, so that when I jump over here, it just shows full screen. So he says, what do you mean? Okay, so then Golik's got his line, and now this coming up is the shot we just did. Can it be done? I could only try, my lord, I think is what he says. And then the prince actually shows up. So this is the shot we're working on right now, and I'm looking at this shot. He really didn't move. It was all just lip sync. So if we can improve that, why the heck not? We've already got the plastic tool already set up. You know what I'm going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Boy, this is a good case where just being able to reverse all of these keyframes would really be kind of interesting. Because I really like the body language. It's, you know, it's pretty simple. What do you mean? What do you mean? this, okay. Okay, I'll tell you the truth. This, it would probably be just as good, I kid you not, seriously, for me to take shot 182. I guess I can come back. Yeah, I'm on the correct screen. Okay. And reverse. Okay, so I'm going to move this up here, this over here. I know this seems like I'm really chimping here, but the truth is I actually think this is going to look really good. So I'm going for it. I'm going to drag this shot over here. I am going to reverse it. Move these guys downstream. Okay, so look at this shot in reverse. What do you mean? Yeah, see? So we don't need the little eye thing at the end. We don't need that change. So we'll do that. I'm going to actually speed it up a little bit more. And then I'm looking for... I don't want a bunch of erroneous frames at the beginning. So this is shot 187. I've just reversed it and turned it into a replacement for 182. Okay, so Golik says his line, and the king says, what do you mean? Okay, this is not necessary. The move, yeah, we don't need that move. That's too much motion. I'm going to go ahead and let this stretch back out this way a little bit. Boom. Okay. What do you mean? No, it's still too long. I'm just going to keep trimming it down. Cut, cut, cut. Yep, still too long. Can you believe that? That's crazy. Yep, take out as much as you can. Cut, cut, cut. What do you mean? Can it be done? Yeah, I tell you, the acting in this sequence is really better now. I mean, I must say, I like what I'm seeing. Okay, I do think I need to give him like a couple frames of breathing room. Okay, yeah, so we have a little bit of a problem. There's more than one way to fix it, though. Like, for example, right here, because what I want to do is I really want to give him a little more breathing room, but yet the problem is when he finishes his line of dialogue, he immediately starts moving. So what can you do about that? Well, what I could do is actually go into the folder where this shot is and just pull out the one blank frame, or you know, take this last frame right here and just put in a still image. Would solve the problem. Let's just do that. So bear with me, folks, while I open my image browser thingy dingy. So yeah, we're, oh, hey, that's like a, actually I did not paint that. This is what I wound up painting a couple weeks ago, actually. So we're going to Animate, Salt and Light. Sorry for the having to sit through all this, folks. We're looking at 187, right? 187, which we're running in reverse. Okay, so if we go to 187, what we've got is he, whoops. He says, can it be done? So it's right here. This image right here. If I put that in my edit, that should solve our problem, if I'm correct. I reserve the right to have made a boo-boo, but I think that's correct. Okay. Look at that. Okay, so now all we got to do is trim this down. Sweet. What do you mean? Yep, now we can make it as long as we need to. I like that. Mean? I can't remember Golik's line. That's why I'm saying blah, blah, blah. Well, Lisa. Can it be done? Okay, so now that we got that feeling right, this feels like it has a tiny bit too much breathing room at the beginning of it. I want him to move right away. Can it be done? I can only try, my lord. Boom, boom, boom. And now the Prince Vespucci's here. Okay. So cool. I'm glad I got that done. Now, somewhat disappointingly, what that means, though, is over here in Tahoma, we have a shot that we actually didn't use. So, the smartest course of action probably is going to be to look at the next shot going backwards in time. And so, sorry to keep switching back and forth here, but so this is the shot I need to do now. Oh boy. Okay, so he basically raises his eyebrows and talks a lot. I have no idea what he's saying, and then he scowls again. Okay, so he goes from a scowl to a less scowl, says a bunch of dialogue, and then scowls again. Okay, so that will be easy to do over here. So, and you know what? It turns out, if you look closely, if you pay attention, what we find is that it turns out we just replaced 182 with 187, right? Well, it turns out that 182 that we were working on is actually just a change up of the other version 182 from kind of a while ago. So, meaning what? Meaning that here in Tahoma, we don't need to change anything because this is actually shot number 182 that we're fixing. Okay. Man, am I the luckiest guy in the world or what? Okay. So, what did I say he does? I'm dyslexic, so I've got everything reversed, I'm sure. Yep. Got it reversed. Okay, so what happens over here is he is in a scowled frame. Scowled. He opens up a little bit. We'll get rid of that keyframe. I'm not going to have his body move, so we'll get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of everything else. It would be easy to redo the animation on those anyway. So let's just save this as 182. All right. So now it's kind of interesting that over on the timeline, it looks like the image sequence for 182 actually has over 200 frames. That's kind of, okay, yeah. It looks like, yeah, see, look at this. Wow. So this is actually 182. And this is 182. Holy smokes, Gus. You know what I think? I need to open up 182 in Krita and see what the heck it is. Because it seems like that was a really, really long shot. Oh, the things you learn. Okay, so I'm going to come down here. And this is 180. Okay, no, this is actually 184E. I'm going to keep 184E open because it might actually turn out to be easier. Nah, forget that. I was going to say to just do it in Krita, but it won't be because the animation of the king in shot 182, I can tell was done with the liquify tool. There's no way I'm going to be able to. That's going to be a pain to work with. So, I mean, if anything has to change, right? So, I am looking for, actually, this is kind of that search thing that Sifter was talking about. When you go to open a scene in Krita, if you actually start typing the file name, any files in the folder you're searching in that qualify will appear in this dropdown, which is kind of useful. So this is the shot I want. I want to take a look at this. I have a feeling this is a really, really, really long shot. Let's see. Yeah, there's the scowl. It doesn't, yeah, it looks like it's only 96 frames, about 100 frames. So I think what I must have done in the past was I essentially took 182 and cut it up into a bunch of pieces to form all these other shots that I did. Pretty crazy, man. So, now I have to consider that there may be some strategy involved. Why? Well, because here I've got 182 being used over and over and over. So here's the scowl. So this is all in the right, this is all in a rearranged order. So let me look back here, and my suspicion is that this is the key. Where's the scowl? The scowl didn't make it in there. How many frames is that? Well, it's 4 seconds. I'm going to go to absolute frames here. So that's 96 frames. So that's the whole thing. I wonder why we don't see the scowl in there then. Very interesting. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you guys are following this, but basically here's the problem. If I recreate this shot correctly and I render it, the minute I render this scene, because this is 182, these shots right here are going to be broken because they're actually Chris, I'm leaning towards doing that. Now, when I did the live stream yesterday, I played you know, probably the first 1/3 of that beginning section. It's going well. I'm getting the voices in there. I've got the score. I mean, the score is probably 1/3 to 1/2 done, but frankly, most of the creative work, like knowing what I'm going to do, is pretty much done. Like, I've decided. I know what I'm doing musically now. So the rest of it's probably going to, frankly, probably a couple more days and I'll have the darn thing finished. And then I need to go in and do a little bit more of the sound effects. Like when there's a transition, you'll hear something like things like that. Which, believe it or not, more often than you would realize, I actually do that stuff with my mouth. You know, things like that. I mean, I actually did a, you guys may find this interesting, but there is a, you can find it on my YouTube channel. If you search the word Bobcat, okay? But what I did was, I did this sound design job for a client. Pretty big job, actually. And you'd be amazed how much of that soundtrack was done with my mouth. Like, you've got these audio tracks where there's tons of reverb and echo and stuff like that, and I'd do stuff like that, and it would just, you know, it sounded just like a movie trailer, you know, all this kind of stuff. Okay, Soda Pop, I'm glad you said that, okay? I'm actually, you guys pay attention, because Soda Pop just made a comment. Remember what I said yesterday, okay? Remember what happened yesterday, and of course, probably you guys thought I was crazy. But Amar said in the chat yesterday, he said, when we talked about this idea of using that plugin, actually, we were talking about how you would do data interchange, and I said, well, if you're importing a data timeline from an animation program like Clip Studio Paint or Krita into Blender, my question was, well, how is Blender actually doing it? Because, and the reason I said, was because in the past, if you want an image sequence to be brought into Blender, you have to map it to a plane, right? And Amar kind of came in late, but he made the comment that, yeah, that's no problem. In fact, you can do that even with like a grease pencil object or an empty, where it actually references an image sequence, which he's completely correct. You can use it for background images, things like that. The thing that Amar didn't mention, though, is that when in Blender 2.8 forward, in other words, 2.79, mapping an image sequence to a plane was extremely powerful and flexible. They actually, and I said, my exact words yesterday were, they kind of took a step backwards with 2.8 and forward. I didn't really fully explain it, okay? But what it used to be is what Soda Pop's probably trying to do is you just bring in a ping image sequence, you just map it to a plane, it would automatically show up fully rendered and you do whatever you want with it. Including, by the way, subdividing it and then deforming it with a proportional editing tool. Very, very, very powerful. Very powerful. And what I said in the chat yesterday was that they took a step backwards because they essentially narrowed it so that you have to import an image sequence as like an empty. And what they don't mention is that, by the way, that image sequence that you just brought in mapped to an empty will not render. It'll show up in your in your 3D workspace. You can work with it. It's helpful as a background image or whatever, but it doesn't render. It's like, really? That's crazy. Maybe there's an obscure setting that makes it so it does render. I'm not sure. But Soda Pop, what version of Blender are you fighting with? Are you in version 3 or are you on version 2.9 something? Because what Sifter just said is completely right. The thing to do is go into your add-ons and turn on the add-on import images as planes. My opinion is it's still not actually as easy to work with as the 2.79 version, but it's pretty darn good. So if you want to work with image sequences and just map them to a plane and then do whatever you want to do with them in the 3D workspace, using that add-on is by far the easiest way to do it. Importing it into the VSC, bringing it in as a video sequence and then doesn't really, yeah, 293, you're good. You're good, man. Let me show you. Bear with me half a second here. I'll pull it up. Okay, here's Blender 2.93. Okay, so here you go. What you want to do is you want to go into your, is it in the preferences? Yeah, let's go into the preferences and then go into the add-ons and just search the word plane or image. I think plane, yeah. Import, export images as planes, okay? So then what you can do is you can go under images. It used to be under mesh. It's now under images. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm on the wrong screen. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. Edit, preferences, turn on the add-on. It comes with Blender, so it's there. Okay. Type in plane, import images as planes, and now what you can do is Shift-A. You want to go to your images, images as planes, and of course it's opening in the other window. Okay, and now I'm going to go to, I'll just go to Salt and Light, scenes. Just doing this for demonstration purposes. And this is kind of important. So I'm just going to grab one. I have no idea what scene I'm doing here. I'm going to go to the render. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to hit A to select all. And then pay attention to the options here. If you don't want to use lights and stuff, okay, yeah, it's been a while since the screen was stuck. Okay, if you want to use lights, you can leave the material as principled. If you want it to show up at full brightness no matter what, do shadeless. And if you do emit, it's kind of the best of both worlds because you have a plane that can be lit with lights, but you also can turn the emit level on the material up and down to brighten it or darken it in the 3D view. Okay, the other thing is animate image sequences. If you don't click this, the image sequence won't animate. So you select animate image sequence. Use alpha if you need it. You know, if the image sequence actually has transparency, then that's that may be important. Okay, so now let me see. And by the way, if you don't animate image sequences, if you grab a bunch of images, what it'll do is it'll add every single one of them to a separate plane, which is probably surely not what you want. So, okay? And now if I hit the G key and put it in render mode, watch, Murphy's Law says it won't work. Okay. And now when I scroll through, there it is. We see it in the timeline. And you can do whatever you want to do. Now what I was talking about doing earlier that I said was really cool with this is you can go into edit mode and you can subdivide it. Oh geez, all the hotkeys are different in 2.73. Okay, so add a subdivision surface modifier, right? And then bake it in. And then you can actually use the proportional editing tool to deform the vertices and morph the shape of your character, and it all affects the whole video as it's playing. So there you go. All right, guys, Valerie's here. It's time to watch Orphan Black, so that means I got to sign off. And so good luck going forward, Soda Pop. I think that probably helped you out. And with that, as you guys know, there will be more later.